I call to order the May 4th, 2026 Adrian City Commission meeting. If everyone would please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Zeik,
Present.
Commissioner Banky,
Present.
Commissioner Moore,
Present.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Present.
Commissioner Cheshire.
Present.
All commission members present.
May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Roberts with a second from Commissioner Zeik. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Zeik,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Before I vote, I'd just like to ask a question. Can I do that, Burke, or not? I see that on the agenda, we have naming an interim administrator. And so I'd like to get some clarity on Chad's last day, when that would be, when he's in the office working. I know you publicize your last day, but I know you have vacation time and things like that. And I'd like to get a better understanding of that, and that would help me decide whether that should be taken off or we should add something to or go from that.
If you would, for the audience and the commissioner, I'm going to exhaust vacation time after Friday, as much vacation time as I could. So the last time I'll be in office is Friday, but I will be available at all times for you the rest of the time. I'm coherent to this world. So whatever you need, whatever you need.
Thank you.
And I should qualify, my last day on the books is May 24th.
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
motion carried.
At this time, we will have public comment regarding items on the agenda. Just to reiterate, this is only for public comment for items on the agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit, and for the record, please state your name and place of residence. We will begin inside the city chambers first. When we have exhausted all public comment inside the chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants. We will begin inside the city chambers now.
Good evening. Scott Westfall, property address 115 South Main Street. This is a sad day for Adrian. Chad Ball was the right person for this job. However, I cannot say that I blame him. After all, the chaos and destruction that Mary Roberts causes this city has metastasized to uncontrollable levels. It would be impossible for any administrator such as Chad to sustain a professional relationship in such a toxic environment. Unfortunately, there is no end in sight. In the upcoming weeks, I anticipate that Adrian will also lose his community development director, Lisa Hewitt-Cruz, because of the abusive treatment she's endured also from Mary Roberts. Lisa has been screamed at in meetings, verbally berated in her own office, and driven to the point of quitting on numerous occasions. Madam Mayor, if that's not workplace harassment, I do not know what is. For those in our community who have not yet had the pleasure of working with her, Lisa is an exceptional person. She is kind, approachable, highly intelligent, and deeply committed to Adrian's success. Just last month, she secured a $1.5 million MISHDA grant for housing in Adrian. And commissioners, I did not see that listed for tonight's proclamations. There is a point when conduct must be called what it is. Mary, you behave like a bully. Serving on the city commission is not a license to abuse staff or anyone for that matter. And Bob, as you sit there with that pompous look on your face, you're not much better. You've publicly denigrated members of Lisa's department and harmed their reputations. You fashion yourself as some sort of a victim rights advocate, one who uplifts the oppressed. At least you do this when the cameras are rolling and the microphone is on. By partaking in this cruel and disgusting behavior, Bob, you've shown us who you really are. Unfortunately, what I speak about tonight is common knowledge at City Hall. Mary's abuse, her public tantrums, snarky remarks, and unprofessional conduct have gone on for years. While Chad was fantastic and his departure is unfortunate, the real problem endures. Before Adrian attempts to hire another person of Chad's caliber, the toxicity that's rotting this institution must be purged, or nobody will stay in that seat. Mary, you need to step down from the commission tonight. If you care more about this city than you do your own ego and your own pride, then you will resign. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm going to repeat what Scott Westfall just said. It's a really sad time for us.
Can you state your name and? place
Oh,
of
I'm sorry.
residence?
Nancy O'Connor, born and lifelong resident of the city of Adrian. First, I want to acknowledge Circuit Administrator Ball has done in a noticeably short time. In just 8 months, he displayed professionalism, accessibility, and transparency. Many residents, including me, noticed and appreciated this. He was eager to connect with the public. He communicated openly and made decisions based on what he thought was best for this community. He was the first administrator to welcome me into his office. He listened to my concerns and made plans to address them. That makes this resignation not just unfortunate, but concerning. I've heard rumors about why he's leaving, just like others in the community. I want to be clear, I'm not here to say those rumors are fact. I think it's important to recognize that when an administrator leaves in under a year, people wonder why. I think there's more behind Administrator Ball's decision. However, he's too professional and polite to reveal the real reasons. He felt a strong connection to this community. He had connections here. I really believe that if aspects of this commission had been different, he would have stayed. My request for this commission is simple. Think about the environment we create for the people we hire to the city. Great leaders have options. To attract and keep honest, independent people who care about the public, we must allow them to work without conflict and hostility. This isn't about any one individual. It's about the reputation and the future of the city. If we let strong, capable leaders with good intentions come and go quickly, it will hurt our reputation. It will affect who is willing to apply for these roles in the future, and ultimately, it will affect the quality of leadership our residents receive. I hope this is taken seriously, not just as a personal change, but as an opportunity for self-assessment. Thank you.
We will now open up public comment to the Zoom participants. Just to reiterate, you will also have the 3-minute time limit. And for the record, please state your name and place of residence. This is for items only that are on the agenda. We will begin now.
Andrew Greenwell, City of Adrian resident. I just had some questions or comments about the fee estate and kind of the plans to move that forward. I guess just want to understand from the commission, I'm sure you'll talk about here shortly, I guess, what the criteria that you are using to consider who that will be given to or sold to. And I guess just the main question being, is it strictly financial? Is it have to do more with their plan as far as what they plan to do with it and accomplish? And yeah, because it just seems like a really tough thing to wrap your head around at the price point you guys are listing out in the meeting packet. At $200,000 for that house in the given condition. Anyone who's going to be putting enough money to get that thing fixed up will never see that coming out on the other side. So I'm just kind of wondering, I guess, what the criteria you guys will be using to make those decisions and how that will be done. Thank you.
We will have the city administrator comment on that during the city administrator comments. Hearing no more public comment, we will move on to proclamations. The first proclamation is the Peace Officer Memorial Week proclamation. This will be presented on May 15th at 11 a.m. at Oakwood Cemetery for when we have the actual ceremony. But we won't have another meeting before that. So that's why we're doing it this far ahead, because we really felt this was important to make sure and read this week. Whereas law enforcement officers put their lives on the line every day to protect the rights and safety of others. And whereas, as we go about our daily lives, we often take for granted that police officers will be there when we need them, never thinking about the sacrifices they have to make. And whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Adrian Police Department. And whereas the city of Adrian desires to honor the bravery, dedication, and service of our law enforcement officers, and to remember those who have fallen in the line of duty, including the first Adrian officer to be killed in the line of duty in 1880, Officer Dennis Lyons, as well as Patrolman Bobby Williams and Stephen Ruther, Troopers Brian Erickson, Cal Jones, Dougald Polo, and Roger Adams, Deputy Stanley Hosington, and Constable Richard Teskey. Now, therefore, I, Angela Swordheath, Mayor of the City of Adrian, Michigan, do hereby proclaim May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week, and May 15th, 2026 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in the City of Adrian, and call upon the citizens of Adrian to honor those fallen heroes and their families, and to show respect and appreciation to the officers who are continuing to protect us day and night, allowing us to enjoy freedoms that would not be possible without their sacrifice and dedication. The second proclamation is for Cinco de Mayo, which is tomorrow. Whereas on May 5th, 1962, in the rural country of Pueblo, Mexico, a small army of farmers and indigenous people, untrained and under-equipped, fought the invading French army, a well-trained force, and defeated them. And whereas the Battle of Puebla proved to be the means which provided the indigenous Mexican people with confidence to preserve their way of life in the ultimate triumph over the French in 1867, and whereas many Mexican, Latino, and Hispanic citizens have served heroically and courageously in the United States Armed Forces defending our great nation, and many of those veterans are still living among us and are still contributing to our communities with little or no recognition or acknowledgement. And whereas our Mexican, Latino, and Hispanic community has enriched our great community with culture, arts, education, and businesses. And whereas the city of Adrian recognizes the cultural contributions of our Mexican, Latino, and Hispanic community, now therefore I, Angela Swordheath, Mayor of the City of Adrian, to hereby proclaim May 5th, 2026 as Cinco de Mayo Day within the City of Adrian, encourage all of our citizens to recognize and participate in this cultural event. Moving on to our informational discussion topics, we will begin first with our union contract discussion, and I will turn it over to our City Administrator, Chad Baugh.
Thank you, everyone. Before we move into that discussion, I don't know if there's a possibility from one of the commissioners to make a motion to go into closed session.
So moved. So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz with a second from Commissioner Cheshire. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zeit,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire.
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes,
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Motion carried.
we will return as soon as we are done with closed session and we vote to come out of that, and then we will continue on with our meeting. Thank you for your patience.
Recording in progress.
Okay, moving on, we are going to go to our city administrator comments. So I will turn it over to our city administrator, Chad Ball.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Obviously, there's been some very kind comments offered to me since I've been here, and I'd like to thank everybody for embracing a young man from Southeast Michigan that came to Adrian, Michigan, who was coming to Adrian, Michigan on the weekends. But I just want to thank everyone for the warm welcome over this last 8 months. I got some prepared statements that I'd like to talk to all of us that are here today about, but it's been a privilege working with people who care deeply about Adrian. A good majority are here tonight that I have met along the way. I accepted the role. I really believed that I was going to be here long, probably a decade was what was in my mind. An opportunity opened in my life that I didn't foresee. Just keep in mind that the three sitting judges that I'm going to be working with at the court where I'm going, I've known since I was probably most of them since I was about 21, 22 years old. And they moved on from the defense side of things, and now they're sitting on the bench. Definitely the grass is never greener. This is a beautiful place. Both commissions that have been setting since I've been working here have been outstanding. I respect the staff tremendously. The work that they've done over the years, I can tell you, they've learned to survive, to adapt, and make things happen. And we couldn't ask for more when it comes to that. The work ahead is very important. I think it's important for the citizens, the commission, the stakeholders to come together and find a level of cohesion. These questions that are before us are not easy. To that end, I think when I reflect upon local government, it's not preserved for speeches alone. It's not preserved for one human body. I've only been here 8 months, so praise is often very much available for folks that are here for short periods of time. Given time, I'm sure there would be plenty of doubters. I mean, that happens. But those of us who work in local government, please understand that just like Theodore Roosevelt said many years ago, we chose to be in the arena, and I'll speak to that a little bit. And when you make decisions, you make hard choices. It's gratifying, but it's hard work. The job of city administrator, I'm not demeaning the job or police chief job. It's not the hardest work. It's about people, learning and loving people, loving service. That concept of yes before no, I didn't just make that up. I stole that. I'll steal it to the end of time. Always come up with a solution. That's the goal. Yes before no. Moving on, it's bigger than me, so I think it's important. I'll drop a few other quips hopefully before we close for tonight. But I had nothing but support from every one of the commissioners, both the ones that were in position since November and the ones that are sitting here today. I think it's important to talk about. And I say that about the stakeholders, even the stakeholders that seem like they're not getting not aligned right now. Every one of the folks that I met, or at least been in my office or spoke to on the phone, they love Adrian, and you're not that far apart. So with that, with a few things that have come up over time, citizens have asked me multiple times to speak on this Adrian Mall. I do know, I have to clarify, it's a private location. We're going to hold a standard. We're going to hold the standard with the new owner whenever that comes to be. That's in process right now. I'm not a party to it, so I can't speak to it. I'm just as eager as the rest of you. I missed the Foot Locker when I was in the 8th grade getting my new Reeboks, which I thought were the greatest thing ever. It's never happening again. We hope those that have come in the future and what they do with it will definitely become much better than what it is now. Lisa, if you give me a little break, if you could come up and help me a little bit on the fee estate. I know it's on the agenda tonight, and I think it's important that we speak to it. I know It's one of the comments earlier tonight. Had a question about it, and I think if you explain the process and what our goal is with the resolution is for consideration.
Yes, good afternoon or good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. Thanks, Chad. The Fee Estate is at 411 South Main Street, and it was bequeathed to the city of Adrian upon the death of the last heir of that property. So the last will and testament is in the packet tonight. The property, when it came to us, did have a new roof installed on the property, and that was paid for by the estate. And at the beginning of accepting the property, the environmental process began, phase one, to determine if there were any contaminants on the property, if there were any underground storage tanks, et cetera. We did find that. We've cleaned the property. We removed the underground storage tanks and the liquid that was inside them. We've removed a 22-pound or 22-ton piece of equipment that was abandoned on the property, took that to the scrapyard. There were tons of invasive species on the property, trees and brush. So we hired Ropes and Rigging, which has a contract with the city of Adrian to remove that. And if you've been by that property lately, you notice that the sun is shining on it again. In fact, my husband said, I didn't even know that house was there until you pointed it out that all that brush was gone. So the property is approximately 5,700 square feet, I believe. It was appraised 2 years ago for around $200,000. With Chad's leadership, we created a city sale of city property policy to coordinate with the city charter and ordinance to make sure that we followed our own rules. And so this package that I have presented to you today does include all of that to list it with a broker, which we did solicit an RFP for those services as well. And the the broker has an approximate value of $219,000 to $220,000. That will be, if approved, listed for sale with a 30-day window to submit a sealed bid, and then it'll come back before you, I believe. I lean on the city attorney. I've not been through that process yet, as this is new to me, for your viewing to determine how to proceed with the sale of that property. So I think it's kind of high level, but any questions?
I think one of the I'm sorry, if you could answer for at least one of the commissioners. The appraisal we didn't. We had an appraisal, I believe, in September 24, and we
Correct.
used that appraisal again not to expend more funding for the
Well,
same issue.
Correct. The broker will give us a market analysis. We do not need to get another appraisal. Appraisal is really needed when you're going to apply for a mortgage to determine if the value is okay based upon the sales price between the buyer and the seller. So an appraisal would be done by the buyer if they needed to do that at some point, but no appraisal is needed. We'll lean on that experienced broker for what should we have as a starting price. That doesn't mean that that's what we'll sell it for. All bids will come in different, and then you'll have to figure out which seems to be in the best interest of the city of Adrian.
Just a couple questions. So I know kind of some discussion was revolving around like a bed and breakfast. So is that eligible here as part of the deed restriction that we're looking for, or are we looking for fully owner occupied through this?
That would be up to the planning zoning or planning commission to determine if they would allow that as what we call a quote unquote spot zoning, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Commissioner's like probably is a little bit more familiar with that than I am. I know she's new, I'm new. But it is a possibility, but we can't stand here today and say that that would ever be approved because it's not up to myself or to any of us to make that recommendation for that. But the other deed restrictions are listed in the city memo, which is that it must remain single family. It cannot be demolished and 15 houses built on that site, or it can't be cut up into multifamily. And I think there was one other one I had. It can't be painted neon orange.
One additional question. So it says no additional residential structures may be constructed on the site. So we passed kind of a hope for accessory buildings for the mother-in-law suite or things like that. So that
Yes,
would
those are
mean
allowed.
that we wouldn't allow this, or is that kind of a carve out?
Primarily what that's referencing is that lot could be split and due to setback requirements that another single-family home could be built on that site. So we want the home to remain a 1.4 acre site in perpetuity based on the deed restrictions so that other houses can't pop up on that same site.
So not a full house
Correct.
as that, but then what we approved with those
Correct.
additional.
We could consider what they call an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, yes, above a garage or a standalone building, and that would go through the planning, zoning, and building department
Great, thank you.
for review and approval first.
Lisa, once again, thank you for the great work.
Yes, sir.
And I brought this up at previous meetings when we talked, and I'm sorry for Commissioner Cheshire and Commissioner Zink and Commissioner Moore, they weren't part of those discussions, but we had talked about whoever purchases that, we wanted it to, in honor of the fee estate, have it built or rebuilt or remodified to look like an historic home. And I don't know, maybe Bert could answer this. Can you put that in the bids? Can you not put that in the bids? I don't know, Bert. I'm asking you because I don't pretend like I know things.
You have the right to sell whatever you want to sell. And so that's kind of what you're hearing from the community development director is you're gonna hopefully have multiple bids to look at with what they are proposing. And it's not so limited as to try to exclude potential builders, restoration people. So yes, you will be able to decide that as a group.
Thank you. That clears things up.
All set? Thank you.
Don't go too far. We're gonna
Oh.
talk,
Okay.
it's still in the city administrator comments, but I want to talk about the town square. There's questions, I think it's important for me to answer and you're close by, so I'm gonna skip down to that part. And I know we have Mr. Farber here, so thank you for being here tonight. If we have any questions from the commission for him, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to help clarify. We still, we do not have an MOU or clear formal agreements, which it causes a little consternation for me, but I learned to adapt. We are in the bottom of the eighth and we have to complete this process. That's my sports analogy for tonight. Even though we have some hockey to watch later. It's important to understand that we have this gift that was given to us. We have to find a way to close the deal, but we have to have, in my mind, make sure it's legal. So where are we at right now for the next steps for Town Square from your position? Isn't it?
Town Square, I can also lean on Matt. He's also been helping a lot with that, but we've been in discussions with Smith Group, who is our designer, and gave them the wish list of everything that we would like to have done, adjusted for in that project. And I'm not sure exactly how long before that'll be back, but I would hope in the next couple of weeks we should know. If all goes well, then we'll send that project back out for bid and ask the company that bid the lowest if they are still interested in bidding on that project. And then if all the planets align correctly, we're looking at about around July for that project to begin.
Okay. All right. And we do have a subcommittee meeting, which is essentially an open meeting for the public to attend, where we have these conversations about how the rest of the money is going to be expended. When is that next meeting?
I believe that's May 17th. It is in the chambers and it is May 14th, May 21st at 5 o'clock in the chambers, May 21st, 5 o'clock right here. Yes, we've had 2 meetings so far.
Matt, can you speak real quick if you can find a mic over there, or at least come up and just, you covered it this morning in our staff meeting. If you could explain, because a lot of people have probably seen the activity off South Main, what's going on right now? And with the consumers.
Yeah, so we are working with consumers to get the area lines moved underground. We are working with our local contractor, Adrian Electric and Generator as well. We will probably be moving a little bit faster next week. We're going to start putting some meter banks on the walls and putting the rest of the lines underground. Consumers is looking to probably have everything hooked up within the next couple of weeks. So we are moving ahead. It's just a long process.
Well, thank you from what I've seen, some great communication with the public and opening those doors and mending some fences there. So we get those lines underground. So thank you for that.
Yes.
I don't know if the commission has any questions about that. I do want to speak real quick, the Bixby property, 818 Riverside. We're still working through that process. The Brownfield Authority, we've had the last meeting, we made some requests to the developer. But those requests, they're still in process. We haven't received that information yet. We're at the point now where my position will likely consult with the city attorney on best next steps. One of the questions that gets raised to me is holding the property standards. And while that property is still owned by ProMedica, Lisa and her team will be responsible for coordinating, make sure that they maintain the property standards as long as it's ProMedica owning the property. So any questions from the commission on Brownfield?
A comment, and it's not a question. I think that Bixby property, and I'm going to be honest, we came in and we were promised a lot of things. And all those promises have either changed, been modified, or not what we thought it was going to be. And I go by that. And, I have a close friend of mine that always says, let's just go put 4 bases in a home plate on there and let kids play baseball on there, because it doesn't look good anymore. I mean, there's no grass, it's dirt. I would like at least the responsibility, which is ProMedica, to either put grass on it, fix it, hide it, do something, because it's an eyesore right now, and it's right across one of our most important assets for bringing people to community, our high school. And that is an area that really needs to be addressed.
Thank you. I do have a few closing comments. Appreciate everything. Like I said, cohesion is going to be very much important. I think, Adrian, it's stakeholders, it's residents, it's commission, my folks I work with directly, those who replace me. We don't have to choose between hope and accountability. We can have both. I think it's real important to understand progress isn't always clean, but the process must be. And that's something that I live by. So the process has to be clean. And I think everyone I met has great intentions. We just got to bring them together. The work that goes on behind the scenes, it's not necessarily so loud, but just so you know, your staff here, those who came before me have done a lot of great work. What I learned along the way as a leader in government is our forefathers weren't ignorant. So there's a lot of good reasons and good systems in place for us to succeed in the long term. And I look forward to see what happens with Adrian in the future. This turnout today, I think, is important. It could be maybe the starting point for some better things ahead. So at least as it relates to relationships, those folks here coming out on a Monday night and crowding this room love the city. So I'd like to see what you do with it next. So thank you.
Moving on to our city administrator discussion. Do we want to begin with interim? Do you want to, with acting, with going there? Do you want to talk about yo and yo? Where would we like to begin? Start with
Well, I think it might be an appropriate time to start the discussion. And part of my discussion is that when we look at this, we're under a time crunch, a huge time crunch, the enhancement grant. And my concern is that if we give money back to the state, it's going to hurt us with getting future huge money from the state and federal government. With the enhancement grant having to be done by this December, we're in a time crunch. And so if you want to talk about getting yo and going out and looking, we're less than 7 months in. I don't see a huge change in what's going on from the last time we got in 7. Maybe there's something out there. I don't know. I think a possible path, which I think would be efficient would be if we contacted Yo and Yo, they're still under contract. They don't charge us anymore. If they could reach out to, say, the top 10 candidates and see how many of those top 10 candidates are interested in the job. And if we use their services to get it done, to reach out, to see if they're interested, and then we can move from there, because we might find out that some, none, or all, and Mayor, I'm going to be honest, that's your job and that's yours. It's not our job to reach out to possible new city administrators. You're the leader, you're the mayor. And I'm going to ask you for some strong leadership on this so that we don't have all commissioners reaching out, trying to get information about all the possible candidates and things like that. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm telling you, as a commissioner, we're commissioners, you're the mayor. And so I think it's vital that you take the leadership role on this. We move forward and you communicate without breaking any rules of the Open Meetings Act, not having anybody go out and try and recruit somebody, see where they're at, bring information back. I think that's important. And the second thing I would like to say is I appreciate you calling me when this was going on. So you kept me informed, and I don't know why things changed, but before, when I was a city commissioner, the administrator and the mayor met, and they were the two that set the agendas. It has now evolved into two commissioners and the mayor meeting. And what that does is that brings two commissioners into the fold of the discussions that happen that we can't be a part of. And I don't know if they start talking to us, does that break the Open Meetings Act? Because then there's four of us. So we have to look at, do we talk about decisions? Do we talk about things like that? So I appreciate these things being on the agenda. And I'm also looking to make a comment. I think we go back to the old way, and that we just discuss what's happened, what's brought to us when we all get our Friday memo and Chad's Monday, recap, and then we all get the information at the same time. We all know what's going on, and it's an equal balance among all the commissioners. That's my personal opinion. Because I understand that we get it on Friday. City Hall's closed on Saturday and Sunday. And then that gives us Monday. And if you have family and you're working and all the other things that could go on, it puts some commissioners in a bind. That's all I have to say.
I think that I was hopeful and very happy to see that Yo and Yo was still under contract, because we all thought that that was the case. And I really agree with you on that, Commissioner Schwartz, that we are under a time crunch. And that is why I would like Yo and Yo to, they've already met with, done the community input. They've already done all these things that get it going. And we're still under contract. And the only thing we'd be having to pay for would be the travel expenses for those that we end up interviewing, things like that, those small little nominal fees, but it wouldn't be any fees for like the search. And they've already done all that legwork. And I just feel very confident with having them reach out to those candidates we had in the past and presenting us with those candidates. I know that they did send out a timeline. That's something that I do feel that city attorney and I can find out what does not work for the city attorney, and I have talked about that, about what does not work for everybody, because I know there were already conflicts with the timeline they sent out. Plus, we did feel it was possibly a little too lengthy, and that it could be shortened for sure on that timeline because so many balls are already rolling, because we already had so many things set in place that I do feel it could happen quicker than what was proposed. And we would make sure that everybody could be there because I know there's already some conflicts with what was proposed, but that I really do feel that we should at least use this part. We went under contract with them for this reason, if anything happened, and it happened now. And let's use that, and let's really hope that we get, and they brought, and the other thing to point out in this is they brought us the most stellar candidate ever, and the most amazing city administrator ever. So that right there just built a lot of credibility with me with what Yo did bring to us as well.
And I would just suggest, in addition to that, speedy timeline, but also let's not hold ourselves to previous candidates who applied for the position that, in 7, 8 months, a lot of things can change in people's lives, and we could have new candidates that we could consider as well, in addition to those who had previously applied.
And my concern, I'll just say again, is yeah, it may change, but what are we gonna get? I mean, we're gonna have to get somebody that hasn't had any research or vested anything in the city of Adrian, and now they're gonna come in and learn all anew. Where before we've had these candidates who've done, and I'm positive they've done research on Adrian before they came and they applied. Another thing I'd hate to see is that we appoint a interim administrator who's going to maybe want to apply for the job. If the interim administrator is applying for the job and the other candidates find out, would they even be willing to apply for the job? Because optics look huge. There's an interim administrator. He's applying for the job. Where do we go from here? Is it worth my time to apply for a job when there's already somebody there that's applying for the job as the interim? I think that's a drawback. I think it's the duty that we go out, we get the people that we know that are vested, know what's been going on, know what's going to continue to go on in Adrian, and we entice them, or what we see whether they want to come. People that are invested and already have been invested in Adrian are an important part. And I really believe that's true. And I know I'm getting kind of lengthy, but this has been my town for, how old am I? 64 years. And I've seen people come and go, and I really want somebody that's vested and cares about what's going on. I know that we have some of our top candidates already working as city administrators or in other places, and the optics of trying to get them to come back with public things of announcing they're leaving, and that could be detrimental to them. Our top candidates, it was detrimental. I mean, you get a job and then you leave. I mean, what does that look like for, are you willing to stay in Adrian? I don't know if that's true. You got here and you left. I understand there's extenuating circumstances, but to leave a job and then take a job that's the similar thing at a different city, what does that say goes on? You know what I mean? We have to be very careful, get somebody that's vested in Adrian, cares about Adrian, and is willing to understand the dynamics of this commission, had the opportunity to meet all the commissioners and know what's going on. That's why I'm basing my opinion on, yes, there could be Cinderella out there or Prince Charming, but what are the real chances and how long will that delay take?
I would like to just comment what Commissioner Schwartz said, because like I said, we're in a time crunch, and my understanding, these top 10 or 9, because Chad was one of them, they've already been vetted. So why reinvent the wheel? This be a quick process. Have them contact each one and find out if they are interested, and this be a quick decision.
I again stand by the fact that we should open this. The dynamics of the commission have changed since the last time hiring took place. So there's new commissioners here on board. And I think that we should not sell ourselves short should somebody who has a great opportunity to come here and lead the city just because they didn't apply last time. And again, circumstances may change, and that they want to come and serve the residents of Adrian. And we should be able to see the full slate of candidates. Anything less holds back qualified individuals from our residents.
I agree with that as one of the new commissioners. I would like my voice to be heard, as I'm sure the other two would be. It's not like we only got one new commissioner, we got 3 new ones. Given the timeline that Yo gave us, I think it needs to be shorter than they proposed. Maybe splitting, kind of compromising between the two. If we did reach out to the old individuals that were interested in the position last time, and then also offering new interested people, maybe shortening how long they have the posted date for. We could still get some new people and see if the old people are interested. And then that would shorten up the timeline a bit.
I don't think this is a matter of right and wrong. I think it's a matter of what we do to make the best choice. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that Commissioner Banky's right. I'm just saying that we are in dire straits. You look at the optics of Adrian. We've had 2 administrators in 2 years. What quality candidate that hasn't been vested, hasn't been looked at before, is going to consider coming here with the track record we have? If they look at our commission meetings, sometimes you look at it in the commission meetings when people present things and talk things, it reminds me of, the McCarthy Senate hearings about the controversy and things like that. So all of these things boiled in together, I think it's very important that people come in so that we're able to keep, and Chad, this is no reflection on you. I appreciate that you have family issues and what's going on, but this is a difficult thing that we have right now. And so if we have a component where Yao and Yao reaches out to the past 10 candidates, and then Yao and Yao can find somebody right away that is truly interested, that has an experience, that it worked with grants, that has done those things, and we give a different job description, and if they're still interested, that's fine with me. But remember, we give 15 million of whatever that's not completed back to the state. It's going to hurt us now, and it's going to hurt our citizens now, and it's going to hurt us in the future.
I would like to point out that the makeup of this commission. There are very people on this commission that thinks diversification is important. When you look at the diversity of this commission, there's 5 of them in the educational field. And I think if you look at running this Adrian city like a business instead of an educational field, that we will streamline and get moving. Because as I look at certain commissioners who served in the Adrian school system, their track record isn't that good. I'll just leave it at that.
What are we talking about?
Let's get back to it. So for Yo-Yo, we will try to, I really think, I know Amy was going to be on, is that correct, Heather? Is she on there? Amy, is there a way that we can shorten up that timeline for the open applications as well? Besides, can you speak to some of these concerns that we have, and we're wanting to, this is a very big need here to fill this position as quickly as possible?
Yes,
But
I
with a very
can.
high quality candidate. Thank you.
Yes, I can work on revising the timeline. One of the factors is your availability to have meetings. I built the timeline based on the meeting schedule. So if I can get a good understanding of other meeting time options, then I can work the schedule to be as fast as possible based on your availability.
I think the biggest concern that I've heard up here, and I think they will agree, is just that the open timeline for anybody new that is applying, and trying to shore that up and make that a little bit quicker. Just so that you can start getting through those candidates to be presenting them to us. We will make it work the best we can don't worry about our meeting schedule as much as just that we want to get those quality candidates. And we want to get that out there as soon as possible and really get those vetted to bring to us.
And I can get the job posted this week and I can shorten the time frame.
Thank you. And speaking to that, I know that there was some that, wondered about, do we do an acting and internal? Do we do an outside? And from looking at the time frame and the fact that we've just heard from our city administrator that his last day inside the city hall will be May 8th. It is my recommendation that we do an internal and we do an acting mayor during this time. I know when we talked to Amy before about this, back on our first search, that if our acting city administrator at the time, Vince Emmerich, had put his hat into the ring, we did ask that question if it would dissuade people from applying. And I do believe, Amy, your response was that it really does not, but can you answer that question?
Yeah, it is fine to have an interim and it will not dissuade applicants if it is messaged correctly when the question comes up.
Okay, thank you. And I know that it was even City Administrator Chad Baugh's recommendation from talking to me that it be an internal candidate as well, just because there are many moving pieces right now, and we need somebody that actually knows what is happening in City Hall and knows the right people to talk to and has those connections and get the job done and get it done well, because we need to make sure these things keep moving, like the enhancement grant and things like that as well.
I agree. Absolutely. I think an internal candidate is the only one that we can, for interim, that we can realistically have the progress keep moving, especially if we're so worried about the enhancement grant timeline. So to keep things moving immediately, do we have anyone that's interested, or how do we move forward with that?
Yes, so I do know that Will Sadler is interested in it, and he has an extensive financial expertise that Chad was even relying on, and I think that is very advantageous to us right now, especially with this budget as tight as it is. And also Will's job, he has many people working underneath him, and he actually has managers at these plants that he can really not take away from wastewater or the water department by serving as the city administrator. He really could do both of them just for this time being. And we expect it to also be a very shortened time, because we're talking about that, like trying to already do these interviews. It wouldn't be for a lengthy period of time like poor Vince Emmerich had to do for 7 months. We are definitely not looking at 7 months.
And I would
That's
also
it.
echo with Will's experience with construction. Obviously, the major projects that he's done and is working on goes hand in hand with helping ensure that the enhancement grant work continues to move forward on our major projects as well, and meeting those timelines, because he's done that on a pretty consistent basis as well.
And I think this was probably discussed at the agenda setting meeting, right?
Yes,
Okay.
but Chad and I discussed it, yes.
Yeah, but it was discussed, and so that's my point with the agenda setting meetings. People are in the know and other people are totally left out. And that's a concern that I have. Also, a question I have is, after your discussion with Will, were any of the other department heads contacted to see if they were interested?
Yes, Vince Emmerich was contacted, and he is not interested. He is getting ready to retire next year, and he wants to enjoy that. And he respectfully declined even wanting to be considered for that. And I do know that that it was questioned in a careful way to somebody else that said that they really didn't want to take that on at this time. By our city administrator, by the way.
And I appreciate that it's just not one person that was discussed and here we go. I want to make sure that everybody had their opportunity as department heads to put their hat into the ring, because I know, and I'm not putting Matt on the spot, but you talk about knowing about construction and things like that. Matt's been in with all our enhancement committee meetings, and he's been with revitalization and things like that, and he's very well informed.
I was not a part of the agenda setting meeting, but I do think Will would be an excellent choice for the interim. He knows his stuff, his attention to detail is unmatched, and I think he would be a very smooth transition for the time being.
He was also a very strong candidate last time, when we were looking for our new administrator, and everything he said, I was very impressed by.
I didn't say he wasn't. I just wanted to make the playing field level with all, and not that it was just decided at a meeting that we didn't get information to tell after.
Understand.
I mean, I don't think Will's, and I could be remiss because I made several mistakes. I don't think Will's name was on the agenda for appointing him as the interim. But you're right, Will is a qualified candidate. He was one of our top candidates. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying level playing field, not having decisions made by a few members, but all the members of the commission.
And being new to the commission, like I said, the optics of this, because having someone if he's asking to be for the job, will it play favoritism as we search for the new city manager?
Well, in the past, sometimes it's been a very quick turnaround. And so we did have a discussion at the city commission meeting when we asked Vince Emmerich, but I had personally reached out and asked Vince Emmerich because he'd been in that position before and we were going to need somebody within days. So I will let you know that that's how it went down the last time, that I did reach out to Vince right away to ask if he'd be interested, and he did express an interest, and then we did discuss it. And that's why it's not on here with the name, so that we could have this discussion tonight. It wasn't decided yet, and that's why we're voting on it tonight, but that's also why we're having this discussion.
I do have another question for the Yo and Yo part of this discussion, if that's okay.
If it's directed at Yo, she'll answer it. Great, she said.
So last time I was sitting in the gallery for this, so I don't remember specifically what was in the contract with us and Yo, but I believe there was something about after the administrator gets appointed or hired by us, that somebody from the Yo company would come in and help with like guiding said new administrator, and then helping the whole commission come together as a cohesive unit. Was that part of it?
I don't know if I'm not prepared to answer on the contract, but I can tell you they've been more than open in setting appointments early on, specifically as it relates to my development in position. As it relates to what I think you're speaking to, had to do with strategic planning, at least from my understanding. And my position I took when I took over, based on much of what you're seeing tonight, is the complexity of this commission needed a third party that's much larger. Not that Yo wouldn't be a good bidder for their strategic plan and its visioning component, but I think we needed to open it up because the allotment of dollars is going to cost much more than what was allotted during that original contract.
I was thinking that at some point, and this could have just been a fever dream apparently, but I was thinking that there was something in that contract saying there would be like opportunities for team building and whatnot. I think this commission needs those desperately.
I do believe that was an extra fee that we did not approve to vote on at the time. Am I correct on that, Amy?
Yes, there were additional services that we could provide but did not engage in.
All right. Well, if there's nothing more to discuss, we will move on. Moving on to the consent agenda. May I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Roberts with a second from Commissioner Cheshire. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire.
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner Zeit,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to our regular agenda under ordinances. Ordinance number 26-002 is the second reading and consideration of an ordinance to amend several sections of the Adrian zoning ordinance. May I get a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this ordinance?
Just to clarify that the sections related to flags and signs have been removed related to the change to the ordinance. So this involved the other items that there wasn't a discussion on at the last.
And then again, I think it's important that we set some standards. I think yard signs are beneficial. You know, Commissioner Banky, as I listened to you and was trying to understand your point last week or 2 weeks ago was, you know, the love thy neighbor and the maple pride. But what if someone decides to put up signs that build hate, build resentment, and cause turmoil within the city? I think we need everybody has free speech, but I think we need some ordinance that can take care of it. I like the flags. I don't like flags nailed to trees. I don't think that's beneficial to a tree or to the flag. I think that people that have, as you said, your neighbor had 3 flagpoles, would that be possible to have them grandfathered in? They've already had those. They've been using them. They've been waving them. I think if you look at, and I'm not making anything, but you go to Bob Evans, they have that huge American flag out there. I think that's a beautiful flag. And so they could keep those things up. And I just wouldn't like to see flags that are promoting, you know, anti-Semitism. I don't want to see yard signs that are promoting swastikas. And everybody has freedom of speech. And so if we don't have any limits, you could have a yard that has all kinds of those types of flags. And if I'm a neighbor next to that, that's not a welcoming area. And I want Adrian to be welcomed, to be a place where we all feel welcome and that people are accepted and genuinely appreciated for what they bring to the city.
I think this would be, my thought on this is that the planning commission revisits the flags and the sign ordinance just because of the size limits, you know, and maybe it's just more clarification on and getting more detailed, like you just said, Commissioner Schwartz. I think that would be great. And then bring it back, because I do agree there needs to be some parameters. I just think that it was a little confusing the way it was, and this is something that we can move on with all of the clarifications. And we've always talked about this, how when there's an ordinance, it seems like there needs to be amendments. Things change, and I think this is something that that would be great for them to really look at and really work on when it comes to the flags and signs and come back to us with that. But we wanted to move forward with passing it. Sorry, I'm not telling you to vote that way, but I'm just saying we wanted to move forward and not have this be a stopping point, because I think this is something that's just going to take a little more digging in and a little more work. And I feel we're not qualified like the way the planning commission is, and some of the background of the planning commission, I just feel could really add to this. Plus they have our building official that is part of their planning commission. And I just think it's a really good, it behooves us to have them work on this and clarify it.
And I'm gonna agree with that because I called and talked to some of the planning commission members. And they are really open to looking at this, revitalizing it, changing it, listening to the considerations that were brought up during our discussions last week, and they're open to that. And I think that's, Mayor, I'm gonna agree, that's a great, great thing.
To kind of piggyback off of Commissioner Schwartz, the planning commission only wants, the best for their neighbors. They're all volunteers. There's been some aggressive language about signs and flags, but they're all there to make sure that our neighborhoods are as beautiful as possible. So if you do have ideas, although the flags and signs are not on the agenda for tomorrow night, there is a planning commission meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. here. So I would urge you to come and share your ideas about specific language regarding those two subjects.
Yeah, and I would just wrap up with electronic signs. So I know the information there was saying that it was static for 30 seconds. And I was not able to find a electronic sign in Adrian that's static for 30 seconds. So from Adrian College, Siena Heights University, the Croswell, LCS, and urgent care, and several other places, their times varied from 7 seconds to the longest was 12 seconds. So again, it's that thing where is it a problem, and can we focus in on that and kind of work around what we have currently in the community to keep that same standard there, or if there isn't a problem on that front. And then again, speaking with the folks out at American One, a brand new build and a brand new construction and company that expanded into Adrian, and they have a flag that's much bigger than 4 foot by 6 foot out there, not as big as the Bob Evans flag, but wanting to make sure that if the American Pride is part of the company's name as American One, that we don't want to restrict some of those options for incoming business. And again, also keeping graduation with Maple Stadium with a 8 foot by 12 foot flag there in place.
We have a motion from Commissioner Banky with a second from Commissioner Zeig. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schwartz,
So we're voting to approve it or to
It's
send it?
improving in the signs, and because the signs and the flags, since that was still being discussed, is not in there. We are approving what they brought us without those two things.
And I'm going to say I would like it to be a complete proposal. I don't want to do this, send it back, bring it back again. I think we had talked about what that would intake the next time, so.
Well, we did talk to the city attorney. I did talk to the city attorney about this. And the city attorney did say that this is complete. It's just that those are two separate items that can come back later, but it is not going to revisit everything else. Yes, can you speak to that or?
Well,
Thank you.
the last time you were here, essentially this started out as a bunch of amendments to the zoning ordinance because you had a brand new zoning ordinance.
Right.
So typically we don't make multiple changes, but because it was simple changes, or what was deemed simple changes by the planning commission, I was asked if we could do them at once, and I said yes. Well, then once the dissension started here, my recommendation was remove it and get the essential stuff passed through and then come revisit the flags and signs.
I thank you for your wisdom. I'm going to vote yes then.
Commissioner Cheshire,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Zeig,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
motion carried.
Moving on to resolutions, R 26-038 is from Human Resources. It is a resolution to approve a contract settlement for the APAEA. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support. Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this? We have a motion from Commissioner Cheshire with a second from Commissioner Zeig. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cheshire?
Yes.
Mayor Heath?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Zeig?
Yes.
Commissioner Banky?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz? Motion carried.
Resolution R 26-039 is from Human Resources. It is a resolution to approve a contract settlement for the POAM. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support. Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this resolution? I have a motion from Commissioner Cheshire with a second from Commissioner Zeig. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Zeig?
Yes.
Commissioner Banky?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution R 26-040 is from Utilities. It is a resolution to authorize emergency vector repairs. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this resolution? We have a motion from Commissioner Roberts with a second from Commissioner Cheshire. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Zeig?
Yes.
Commissioner Banky?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire?
Yes.
Mayor Heath?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution R 26-041 is from Parks. It is a resolution to support the proposed fundraising and the construction of a pavilion on city property by the Adrian Noon Rotary and authorizes them to hire local contractors to complete the work. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So move.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this resolution?
I firmly support this resolution. Unfortunately, as mayor, you spoke last week, the passing of Greg Dumars, who was a mentor to me and a person that I greatly respect. And the Noon Rotary Club doing this, I think, is a tremendous response to the impact he's had on the citizens of Adrian, to the citizens and students at Adrian Public Schools as both board members and commissioners. And it's truly something that's well-deserved.
To kind of echo what Commissioner Schwartz said, would it be appropriate and at what time could this pavilion be named in honor of Greg? Is that a future discussion item through this process, or if that helps the fundraising process?
I'll make a motion to my resolution to include Greg Dumar's name on the.
I would second that.
Should we ask the Adrian Noon Rotary, though, if that's something that they would be interested in doing, though, first?
Is there anybody in the neighborhood? from the Adrian
Yes, you can approach the microphone. Since we are discussing, it's not public comment, we're discussing your project.
Good evening. I'm Grace Garno. I'm a member of the Adrian Noon Rotary Club. Dr. Michelle Gardner, she as well was a member of the Adrian Noon Rotary Club. We've already committed $30,000 to this project and would like at some point to have it reflect a significant donation from the Vernon Alice Pratt Foundation, as well as in the memory of Greg Dumars. That is something very much we would like to see happen.
I will say that a year ago when we discussed naming it after Greg, or in some way in his honor, we were told that we could not do that. So if we could do that, we as a Rotary Club would like that.
Yeah, we will. I think we probably need to look into that to see what the naming rights, we do have a naming rights.
We do.
Resolution.
Yes, we do.
But it's something we can at least, consider.
And I agree with Commissioner Roberts. I remember we talked about naming rights and things like that, and how we do it, what we do, what we find out about it before we name anything.
Correct.
Not that I don't want it named after Greg Dumars, because I do, but I just want to make sure that we follow our rules and regulations.
Okay.
Yes, we do have naming rights. A couple of us here went through it, so we know, but yes, we'll need to revisit that as a commission, but
Yeah.
it's not that complicated.
At least a plaque.
Yes, you can apply. That's how it works. You apply, but we'll get you the information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you. Any more discussion on this resolution?
So we're still good with the proposal as to where it stands, that we approve this agreement with the intent that it will be named after Greg and then following through the steps, or does that need to be modified?
I think you have a resolution before you, and if you want to try to place an honorary plaque, that's something that you can discuss, but I do not think we have the right to name anything in this city. But we can review that. I think you have a resolution before you. Do you want to support that? If you don't.
Support the pavilion, right?
But as far as any naming or such, I don't think you should address that tonight.
Okay, so we would need to.
We had an original one before us, just as presented, with Commissioner Moore and you were the second.
And then Commissioner Moore made another.
I'll withdraw that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Moore with a second from Commissioner Banky. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zeig,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire.
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to Resolution R26-042. It is from Community Development. It is a resolution to approve the sale of 411 South Main Street. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support. Do we have any commissioner comments or discussion on this resolution? And I agree, Lisa, it looks fabulous and we can see the house and it's already looking so glorious, just with a few minor things that have happened and removal of brush and trees. We have a motion from Commissioner Banky with a second from Commissioner Roberts. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Cheshire.
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner Zeig,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution R26-043 is from the City Commission. It is a resolution to accept the resignation of Administrator Baugh. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
Sadly, so moved. Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this? Well, I will say, I know none of us want to accept this, but we know we have to. But I do want to say, I cannot express enough, Chad, how amazing you have been and what you have done in just 7 months is phenomenal. Your transparency and what you have brought with that. You are so overly communicative, and I will take that all day long as opposed to under communicative. And the city administrator reports to us were so detailed and so it really kept us all in the loop and really helped us know what was going on and your accessibility. I can't believe how many times, I mean, I felt it personally, but how many people stop me on the street, stop me in the store, everywhere, talking about how accessible you were to the public, how accessible you were to anybody that needed to talk to you, and that you answered emails and that you returned phone calls and that you would meet with people in your office all the time. And you were just so accessible. And the yes before no is just such a great thing that I want that I hope, my personal hope is that we continue that yes before no philosophy throughout, and really looking for finding solutions and not just saying no, but finding a way and making a way. And we cannot thank you enough for what you have brought. And we know it wasn't an easy decision. It was very hard to hear. Yes, I did scream on the phone when I found out because I thought he was kidding because we have a little sarcasm between us and I thought he was messing with me because he does that sometimes. But I got over it. I was in shock for a while, but just really, really, really appreciate what you have brought to this city, and you've set the standard that we now are going to want to see from anybody else moving forward. But we appreciate you beyond words. Very saddened to say goodbye, but we know you're always a phone call away. You've already said that, but just I personally just can't thank you enough. And you have been the most amazing city administrator. And Adrian has exponentially become better because of you, even in just such a short time. So thank you.
I agree.
I'd like to add on to that. Even though the day that you resigned, I went into your office and cried to you. I wanted to just write out a few more things that you brought to the city that I didn't tell you in the meeting. You brought intention, trust, clarity, stability, kindness, inclusion, authenticity, transparency, safety, leadership, teamwork to the city. And you led carefully. And that was the most heartbreaking part when you resigned. So thank you for your mentorship. I was hoping it was going to last a little longer, but you did a great job and we will miss you.
Thank you. I'm going to hire you off for marketing and you'll get a opportunity to call my wife as soon as the meeting's over. So it'd be great. I can't thank you enough. There's no one person deserves that. So I appreciate it. It's because of you. So you gave me the opportunity. I won't forget it. So.
We have a motion from Commissioner Zeit with a second from Commissioner Roberts. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schwartz,
No.
Commissioner Cheshire,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes, even though I don't want to.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Zeit,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
motion carried.
Resolution R 26-044 is from the City Commission. It is a resolution to appoint Will Sadler as acting city administrator.
So moved.
Support. I don't know who said support down there. Okay, giving it to Commissioner Zeig. All right, is there any discussion?
I would like to go back to the fact, and I know Yo said that it doesn't have an effect. It has an effect. I've been through many searches and many things like that, and someone who's appointed interim often brings, as I said, optics that they're just placing him in their job to see if he can do or he can't do what's needed by that job. And it's just a matter of giving a rubber stamp. And I don't want that to appear that our commission is giving a rubber stamp to someone that we know is interested in the job. And I'm extremely saddened that Vince is not interested in the job, but I understand what he went through when he was the city administrator in the job and what happened. And that's my true concern. So if we could, I don't know how we can proceed without making sure that we can be guaranteed that people know this is just a temporary appointment. And if it passes, that the job is open to any candidate at any time.
And I think that's a charge to Yo that we give to them to, how it's worded when the time comes in. I know that Amy said they would handle the optics of that and that they've handled that before. But I do think that's something we need to reiterate with Yo as we move forward.
Does he have to make a decision tonight since his last day is not till the 24th?
But he's not even in the office because of vacation starting, because he's using his reserve. He's not in there after this Friday.
Well, I thought since COVID, everybody learned to work away from home. So is it that big an issue to have emails or phone calls?
But it's his vacation time. That's why.
When would the interim start?
If this was approved by the commission tonight, Will and I will immediately start transferring power. I've been through this many times in different processes of life in different positions, and as soon as you have such a public resignation, your decisions are essentially hollow. So it's important to have someone in that seat immediately.
Yeah, I was going to say that if we can have somebody start being a transition, like the transition start immediately while he's still here in office, that would probably be a good idea to get this interim in now.
Was there anybody in the city of Adrian that could have been reached out to see if they were interested in this position? The leadership, think about that. I'm just curious.
I mean, it could have. I do know that people on their own were asking other people, and I was hearing the opinions of that, of what if they were interested or not. I was actually hearing those, even though I wasn't personally having those conversations, but I know other people were having some of those conversations. But also, this is, like I said, this is a lot of things have happened in the last how many years, and we actually have quite a few even new employees, but like a lot of things are really in, and that is when Chad and I talked, things are in a lot of very crucial times and very times where somebody that knows, that has been involved, that has been boots on the ground right now, knows what's going on, even though they might not have been in a city administrator position, they still know because they're right there in it. And some of these things are very crucial. When Chad and I talked about it, and that was Chad's opinion, that it's crucial that it's somebody that really knows what is happening right now and knows, has that relationship with employees to get to that point of where the things need to go. Just for this tiny time. That's why, and it isn't acting, it is not even called interim. That's why it's called acting. It's just an acting. So it's just a shortened time. It's not even an interim. An interim would be different.
Just for the record, were the only two people that were looked at was the police chief and William?
No, somebody else was asked if they thought they'd be interested or not.
Oh.
They weren't asked by me, but they were asked. I have a motion from Commissioner Cheshire with a second from Commissioner Zeig. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cheshire?
Yes.
Mayor Heath?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Zeig?
Yes.
Commissioner Banky?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
No.
Commissioner Schwartz?
No.
Motion carried.
Resolution R 26-045 is from the City Commission. It is a resolution to execute a contract clause with Yo and Yo. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Is there any commissioner comment or discussion on this resolution?
I think we need to get a much quicker timeline to us. I think that we need to have Yo and Yo commit to contacting previous candidates who were interested in the job and know what's going on in the city. And I think it's important that we have to find a stellar candidate in a short period of time who has experience in dealing with grants, budgets, and what's going on uniquely to the city of Adrian. Because the city of Adrian is unique. And the diversity of the people, whether it be race, creed, culture, or economic values, is immense. And so finding somebody that's vested in that could come in and lead with authority right away and not be swayed by opinion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cheshire with a second from Commissioner Banky. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Zeik,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Are we going to give those directions to Yao and Yao?
Yes, we already did, even just talking when we talked earlier about the quicker timeline, and she already had committed to that.
Okay.
Yes.
And as a commission, we can commit having special meetings, all those types of things.
Yes.
So we can get this.
And that was communicated to her as well. Yep.
Then I will say yes.
Commissioner Cheshire.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And just so you know as well that the city attorney and I will make sure that those communications are happening with Amy to ensure that, just so you know. Moving on to public comment. This is general public comment. It does not have to be something we discuss tonight, although it can be. Just to reiterate, there is a 3-minute time limit. For the record, please state your name and place of residence. Once we have exhausted all public comment inside the city chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants. We will begin inside the city chambers now.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Gordon Gauss, and I'm a citizen of Adrian. I'm here tonight to address a pattern of conduct that has gone on far too long, specifically the behavior of Commissioner Mary Roberts. Commissioner Roberts frequently reminds others, both her fellow commissioners and members of the public, to be respectful, to be civil, and to treat city staff with professionalism. Those are values I believe and everyone in this room supports. However, her own conduct too often falls short of those standards. There have been repeated instances where Commissioner Roberts has publicly criticized, spoken down to, or disparaged city employees, people who are here to serve our community and who deserve to be treated with basic respect. This kind of behavior not only undermines staff morale, it also reflects poorly on this commission as a whole. Respect is not something that can be selectively enforced. It must be consistently demonstrated, especially by those in positions of leadership. This issue is not isolated or unnoticed. Members of the public have taken the time to send emails expressing concern about this behavior. Those communications have been shared with all of you, including the mayor. This raises an important question and concern about accountability. Madam Mayor, this pattern has persisted for years, and at some point, inaction becomes acceptance. Leadership is not only about guiding discussion, it's about setting and enforcing standards of conduct. Allowing this behavior to continue sends a message that the rules apply differently depending on who you are. I'm asking this commission to take this issue seriously, hold all members, including Commissioner Roberts, to the same expectations of professionalism, respect, and integrity that you ask of the public and our city staff. Our city deserves leadership that models the behavior it demands from others. Thank you for your time.
John Roberts, Stockford Drive, City of Adrian. Tomorrow, our community has an opportunity to vote on a proposal believed to enhance both our schools and our community. Tomorrow, the residents of Adrian Public Schools have an opportunity to have their voices heard. As a teacher at Adrian High School, I gave many quizzes and tests. I'm sure many of my students did last-minute cramming in preparation for them the night before, and maybe even the morning of. If you're still unsure how you are voting, please do some more studying tonight. Visit the website with proposal information, seek information from trusted friends, avoid social media. Please exercise your right as a community member and vote tomorrow, May 5th at the county fairgrounds. An opportunity is on the ballot. Thank you.
Would you like me to state my name again?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Name and
Nancy
place of
O'Connor.
residence. Yes.
Nancy O'Connor, City of Adrian, resident. I want to talk about something that's becoming clear to many in our community, even if it's mostly discussed not privately, quietly. You voted tonight to accept the resignation of our city administrator, and under a year, he has demonstrated professionalism, openness, and true commitment to our city's residents. When someone with that kind of approach leaves the city only after a few months, that should not be brushed off as a routine. It should prompt serious reflection. Some of our city department heads face a nightmare at work. This is due to a few commissioners, one specifically. These are not inexperienced individuals. These are skilled individuals who chose to be here. After successful careers elsewhere, they believe they can make a meaningful contribution to this community. When people of that caliber begin to struggle or begin to leave, we deserve to know why. I am not here to repeat rumors, but I am here to say that leadership is not just about votes and policy decisions. It is also about conduct, tone, and how people are treated beyond this chamber. Respect is not something that can be selectively emphasized or consistently applied. It must be baseline, especially when there are disagreements, and especially when dealing with the people tasked with carrying out the work of the city. If skilled professionals feel undermined, discouraged, or worn out, they'll leave. And once that pattern takes hold, it becomes difficult to reverse. Word travels, reputations stick, and it will affect who is willing to step into these roles in the future. At that point, it's not just an internal issue, it is a community issue. So I'd like you to take a hard, long, honest look at the culture being created here, because the loss of good people, especially in a short period of time, is not something any city can afford to normalize. I have attended several meetings where our community development director was rudely berated when asked to clarify items. She does a fantastic job in our community and is devoted to making the changes our community needs to thrive, and she works very hard at it. And she's doing it for the city, because everyone speak a big deal about blight. Well, blight's, I'm for the east side. We've had blight for years and years and years. And then we have someone as committed and devoted as Lisa, and this is what she gets. I've sat through these meetings. I've watched her have to come up here time after time and time again and be questioned on why she's doing what she's doing. Seems like every commission meeting, or if I'm not here, I hear it on when I go on. So I'll leave you with this. Nobel Peace Prize winner and Holocaust survivor Elie Wiesel once said, "Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." It is time for the commissioners to speak out about the behavior of their few colleagues. Thank you.
Good evening. Scott Westfall, property address 122 South Main Street. Adrian has close to a $1 million shortfall for this fiscal year. Unless drastic steps are taken, it'll be an additional $750,000 again next year. Moreover, several weeks ago, it was reported that Adrian's DDA is completely bankrupt. So bankrupt, in fact, that they needed to borrow $50,000 from the city just to stay afloat. Ironically, after the previous city commission meeting just 2 weeks ago, several people here witnessed Mary Roberts enjoying alcoholic beverages with one of the main players involved in the DDA's catastrophic financial collapse. That person, of course, has since left the DDA. This individual was entrusted with safeguarding taxpayer money, but completely bankrupted them. Mary, why would you be toasting with a person who steered the DDA into financial ruin? Instead, you should be investigating where that money went and whether anyone should be criminally charged. Mary, you're elected to protect this city and its funds, not revel in drunkenness with those who damage its future. How can you ever be trusted again? Mary, with the resignation of Administrator Baugh and what I anticipate will soon be the resignation of Lisa, coupled with the city's budget crisis and you carousing with those who created the DDA's insolvency, you personally have driven this city into perhaps its darkest hour. Mary Roberts has eroded the credibility of this governing body, and there can be no faith in this institution while she remains in that seat. It's my understanding that an ethics complaint was filed against her last year, and another one is in the queue as we speak. Yet there is still no accountability. The only question left is which of you elected officials have the courage and the decency to say, enough is enough? Who will be the first to stand up for the employees who have been abused? Who will be the first to stop looking the other way on these financial crises? Who will be the first to say that Adrian must and will do better? And who will be the first to call for the resignation of Mary Roberts? Thank you.
Victoria Powell from Adrian, Michigan. I wanted to make my comments regarding the enhancement fund. I had a very fine, lengthy, revelating meeting with Mr. Baugh on April 4th. And here's what came out of that conversation. And I will start out by just saying the enhancement grant was granted, I think in around 2022 or 2023 for $15 million. What's interesting is that, and specifically, it's earmarked for 3 specific projects. That is the Town Square, the Bike Loop, and Winter Street project. And the money cannot be spent toward any other project. What I wanted to address was some details about that, and these, again, come from my good conversation with Chad. The first thing that came up was the contract. So the contract is between MEDC and Lenawee Now on behalf of the city of Adrian. Now, how did this happen? The grantors, these 2 identifiable people, they signed the contract on behalf of the city of Adrian. I cannot believe it. I mean, where is Adrian anyway? I mean, you're getting all the money. You're worried about spending the rest of the money, but who is in charge? Well, it seems that Lenawee Now is. And Chad, when he discovered the contract, he immediately applied for an investigation of details from Lenawee Now about where the money has thus far been spent, which brings me to the finances. We know so far that about $7.8 million has been spent. About $7.2 million is left. This was discovered because they were looking to start the next project. This Town Squares received a lot of the money, but the other 2 aspects have not been. What came up in the discussion and investigation is that though Chad several months ago asked for specific details from Lenawee Now about this expenditures, he has not yet received anything. My question is, who's going to follow up with this? Who's going to look into it? The public should know this, and certainly the commission and mayor should know this. Second thing about the finances that was disturbing to me is that it looks as though, according to Lenawee Now details, and I have a copy, thanks to Mr. Baugh, $3.5 million went to the renovation of Park House. How is that even possible? It's not on the grant allowance. This is owned by a private citizen who owns the Park House, who has received $3.5 million from this $15 million grant. My question is, who's going to follow up with this? You're in such a hurry. Okay, but you're in such I appreciate the time. You're in such a hurry to take care of getting the deadline for the enhancement fund, but I mean, there are problems with this. Thank you.
On a little lighter note, Chad, if you would like to get some great plant life to take to your new abode or sort of new abode, stop at 148 North Scott Street this coming Friday between 9 and 5, or Saturday morning between 9, and 12. Probably be a lot of hostas.
Hi, Jacob Cooper, City of Adrian resident. I wanted to follow up on the questions regarding the $3.5 million contribution to the park house. And just make sure that we note that that park house, the city is one of the largest investors in that project. And the gentleman who so angrily spoke earlier it's his project. So I think I would just like the city to circle back to, at one point in time, there was going to be a full audit of the enhancement grant dollars and possibly the tunnel dollars. And it seems that a lot of the projects that the enhancement grant has been paying for are tied to that individual in his projects. So I'm just curious how those dollars are being audited and how we're making sure that those dollars are actually making it to benefit the community and not one specific individual. Would I be better off to address that at the enhancement grant committee, or where would the best place to bring that up? Thank you.
Hi, Pat Farver. I'm Executive Director of Lenawee Now, and I would like to correct the previous young ladies. She is definitely grossly misinformed. Number one, the enhancement grant was originally thought to be $3 million. Due to private citizens and lobbyists, it was granted $15 million. The primary three projects were the tunnel, the park house, and riverfront redevelopment, which was the most of it. And the reason that it was given to Lenawee Now was by the people who lobbied to get the grant, because they were wanting to make sure that the money was spent properly. That's what we do, is we get grants and we do that. When Chad first came to office, he did a forensic audit on every expense, and there was absolutely nothing found to be not correct. They have gotten every bill that they have given to us. We've paid. There's records of all of it. So if they think there's any nefarious things going on, that's definitely not the case, and we have the receipts to prove it. Town Square was nothing more than a DDA's pipe dream that came on later. And that was never part of the original enhancement grant, was for that. And you talk about wasteful money. So far, on the Winter Street, which is called the Bike Loop, so far $710,357.17 has been spent with the Smith Group on design. Town Square, so far $318,343 has been spent on design. And we're not even there yet. Looks like we're going back for more. So that's well over $1 million on designs on things that necessarily weren't in the original enhancement grant. And as far as somebody getting $3.5 million for a $14 million project, that's called public-private partnership. And that's how things get done. And if the circle of people that happen to be getting the enhancement grant bothers you, then I encourage somebody else to step up and spend their own money. These people are investing in Adrian, and they've spent millions of dollars to make our city better. And for us to try to disparage them for helping the city, I think is deplorable. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment, we will now open it up to the Zoom participants. You will see the 3-minute time limit on your screen. And for the record, please state your name and place of residence. We will begin now for the Zoom participants.
Good evening, everyone. This is Andrea Bernard, resident of Adrian. I'd like to speak to our outgoing city administrator. Chad, you are a great asset to our community. Our citizens, our community leaders, and all who serve or volunteer say thank you so much for your invested service to Adrian and beyond. You are a leader who led with integrity, dignity, dedication, love of the city and its people. When you leave, just remember those who will miss you. Your style of management and the person you have shown us while you've been here deserves our love and attention for a lifetime. You have made a difference. And I appreciate having met you and known you for such a short time. We won't forget you, and we hope you will not forget the impact that you've had and the kind of people that appreciate what you have done. I applaud you and thank God that you stopped to give us a hand when we needed it. And we are not saying other people didn't do a great job. We just have the opportunity to tell you how much we appreciate you. And thank you for your service.
Hearing no more public comment, we will now move on to commissioner comments. I just want to address a question, and I'm sorry that I can't remember your name up here in the front, but to follow the enhancement grant, we do have an enhancement grant committee now, and there's 3 commissioners that actually sit on that committee. So then they let us know what is happening if we can't attend that meeting. So even though Chad will not be here to follow that, we actually have 3 city commissioners sitting on that committee that has been formed now. So, and they're attending. And anybody that would like to attend that meeting, it'll be May 21st at 5 p.m. in the city chambers. Okay, because that's what Lisa just said, and I wrote it down. That was correct, right? Okay. Also want to point out that our water treatment open house was such a raving success, and a lot of people were curious and wanting to know how the wastewater side worked, but we had to wait till it warmed up, although it felt like it was getting warmer, and now I'm questioning it again. But we, next Monday, May 11th at 6 p.m., will have a wastewater treatment plant open house. So, so you can come, you're going to learn so much. Will's going to be giving that tour along with his staff, and we'll learn a lot about the wastewater treatment side and how that works here in the city of Adrian. So we encourage anybody and everybody to come out. The last time we had quite a few families come out and really use it as an educational learning time for their children. So that's great if you know of maybe some families or children that are really interested in science and want to learn more how wastewater. I learned a lot. I was very curious and asking a lot of questions as well, things that I didn't know how that worked, because they did give a presentation about wastewater at the end that I stayed for, and I learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to this. I'm giving up my birthday to come to it, Will. I said, don't put it on May 11th, and Will did anyways, but it's fine. I'll celebrate my birthday at the wastewater treatment plant. So anyways, but really want to encourage everybody to come out. So.
Just one question related to the strategic planning and the parts plan. Could you update us on where we stand with that process and timeline?
Certainly, RFQ went out. It went out April 15th. Proposals are due by May 15th. Then we'll go through the proposals to bring back to the city commission to make a decision which is the best path forward. Keep in mind that it's budgeted for the next fiscal year. So it's going to be post July 1st. So it'll give us about 6 weeks to decide as a commission how that plays out. The goal with that is to have the community be very much a part of that and provide input to this commission through the process. But picking a vendor should start sometime after May 15th.
Great, thank you.
I'd like to congratulate Nate Parker, our current superintendent of schools. The Lenawee County Bar Association named him the recipient of the Liberty Award for his great change and dramatic innovation for Adrian schools, giving stakeholders a share. There were a lot of nominees who had some wonderful achievements, but they really appreciated what Nate has done. And at the courthouse, it was an excellent thing. The judges were there, the Bar Association was there, and I think it's a endorsement of the quality of person that Nate is as our leader superintendent. And I say that with a bias because I've been able to work with Nate and know the things that he really cares about, and he puts kids first, and I'm proud of that. Also, the second Saturday in May, if you have anything that you can donate for the postal collection for the food bank, that's coming up. I think that's a wonderful opportunity for us. And I think another thing I'd like to say is I'd like to piggyback on Commissioner Chesser's comments, because when I first came on the commission for the second time, we had a training session that taught us about the roles, responsibilities, and duties of a commissioner compared to the roles and duties, responsibilities of a mayor and the city administrator, and how we should act publicly, how we handle discourse, how we handle people that have different opinions. And I think that's an important thing that maybe we need to revisit that and have one more of those. I think it was Fred Lucas was the person. And
It's scheduled June 8th.
I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know about it until I just heard about it now. Maybe that's one of the things that I'd like to hear about it when it's discussed and made ready. Thank you.
I think we need to clarify that date, but I'm fairly certain it's June 8th, but we're going to make sure the commissioners are available. So.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I forgot to thank Human Resources and department heads for the wonderful work they did on negotiating the contracts coming up, saving the city money.
I have several announcements. So just to remind everyone, the library is closed this week. As my husband and I were coming in, there were some people trying to get in the back door. They're closed for carpet replacement. On Sunday, May 17th at 8 a.m., there is the Greg Adams Erase the Stigma 5K at the Market Pavilion. It's only $15 for adults and $5 for the kids' stash. All the funds go to support community mental health in our community. The MDOT is starting work on the 223 and Division intersection, and that will be affected through July, so just keep an eye on that. I'd like to thank Kate Deneau, our DDA events coordinator, acting director. She put on a fabulous dog days on Friday. It was great, had tons and tons, hundreds of people downtown. I don't know how many dogs, but they're all adorable. I had the opportunity to speak with the new leasees, I think is the word, of the old Draco's, the old tea room. There's going to be a breakfast cafe going in there. It was really wonderful to hear their vision of what was happening there. Spent way too much money at the vendors in different stores downtown, but it's all for a good cause. Don't forget, on Saturday, May 16th, the City of Adrian Parks Department they're asking for volunteers to come help plant 75 trees down at Riverside Park. And also that same Saturday, Heritage Park Pickleball Tournament is happening with Habitat for Humanity. And all the funds of that goes right back into the City of Adrian home repair projects. I'd like to thank Matt Tomaszewski for looking out for our residents, being forward-thinking in the redesign of the Maple Maumee intersection. Look forward to seeing how that's going to develop. And the citywide garage sale takes place May 29th through 31st. So if you haven't listed your garage sale, you can contact Michelle, correct? Contact Michelle Dewey on that. Like to start planning the fall session of the Community Academy. So we had it on Thursday this year in the winter. That worked out okay. We'll probably go back to Wednesdays in the fall. So be looking for more information about that. So that's all. Thank you.
Chad, I want to again just say I appreciate our conversations over my short term here with you being the city manager. I want to ask you if you could make sure I understand correctly when I was talking about the rental inspection program this city started, I don't know how many years ago, but you're diving into that. You sent an email out to the city commissioners. You stated that only about half of the rental units have been inspected since this program started.
Correct. The information I was working with and off of is the mission of community development currently is to get full inspections done. And when my conversations with Lisa were only half had been completed. So the mission was being designed so that my feedback back to the group was just as you stated, only half had been completed. That's my understanding.
And also, I would like you, from my military background, I would like you, if you would, I know you're going to go on vacation, like what, May 8th is that, would you write a report to the city commission, what you think the top 10 things that need to be done to accomplish, to improve the city of Adrian operation? I would really appreciate that. And then also, with the situation, what's going on with the city, I like to request, so I can do some investigation myself, all FOIA requests, all emails from all the city commissioners to you, and any FOIA requests that you took during your term to see what kind of communications were going on between the city commissioners. I appreciate that very much.
Certainly, I'm going to receive that as a FOIA request and process that through our FOIA coordinator, which is Michelle Dewey.
Thank you very much.
I wanted to thank Sienna Heights for inviting myself and Commissioner Banky to speak at the lavender ceremony that they had last week. It was very sad that this is the last thing that they were, one of the last things that they were doing, but it was a huge honor to speak at that and remind all the students that there's a place for them in Adrian. I also wanted to congratulate the Chico's Cinco de Mayo for another very successful event and looking forward to another one in the future. And I believe last time we met was before the end of the Holocaust Pop-Up Museum. So I wanted to congratulate Commissioner Banky and the rest of the Adrian Diversity Event Fund for a amazing, amazing run.
May I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Frank Rebar, can you see me?